Hello everyone. So let's do one more round of Satsang. So I'll start with this chanting. Ya kundendu tushar har dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena vardand mandit kara, ya shvet padmasana, ya brahmachyut shankar prabhritibhi, devai sada vandita. Samam patu saraswati bhagavati nihishesha jangyapaha. Hello everyone. So I hope you are all doing well. So let's do one more round of satsang. So today let's talk about two dangers of Kriya Yoga. The Kriya Yoga is a very broad topic, and in full disclosure, I am not initiated in any practice of Kriya Yoga. I have not taken any technique from any teacher, but I have some real life cases in my friend circle and other people, and I have done a bunch of research online, and these days people put their life online, so you can see what's happening in people's life over time. So they tell us the real story, actually what really is happening. So I just wanted to bring out this. It's something which I think is very important, which is what are the dangers, like two dangers of Kriya Yoga. And I'll put it right up front. The two major dangers of Kriya Yoga is, one is depression. People get into very depressive mental condition. And second is disease. People get all kind of physical health disease. So these are real dangers of Kriya Yoga. So now that I have put those two dangers up front, let me explain them a little bit. So you will see in the description of this video, I have put a bunch of links. One link is a teacher from Yoga Satsang Society. It's the organization set up by Paramahansa Yoganand, and he's giving a set of instructions. So typically what they do is they have two set of instructions. One is more like, they call it energization exercise, which is kind of open. They open it to pretty much everyone. And then after aspirants do those practices, after some time, they give them advanced practices. So I'll explain to you what is happening without having gone through any of those training or the videos. But in this video, the teacher is giving the initial, the basic practices. And then you will see a bunch of videos where a bunch of people are talking about, these are, and in two videos you will see it's a host of a very popular podcast in India, where the person is practicing Kriya Yoga from Yoga Satsang Society. And then after some time, he's not feeling well because he had a shoulder injury, and he couldn't practice those meditation and those kriyas. And suddenly there are a bunch of things happening in his life, and he's feeling extremely depressed. So it's out there. And then there is a nice video with a bureaucrat in Indian government who is also a practitioner of Kriya, and they talk about the very basic at a very high level. And then there's an interview with a very popular, very good actor, Manoj Bajpayee, and he talks about something which is a fundamental problem. There's a fundamental problem in the practice of Kriya Yoga, which is lack of discipline and lack of commitment. He's just saying, he's agreeing up front on camera that he's not able to do the anushasan, which is the commitment and discipline to practice. And then there is a very nice short 10-15 minute video by a Kriya teacher, Sri M. And he's pretty honest and upfront about, Kriya is not the end. It's just one of the many paths and many methods. And also one doesn't have to be, getting or pestering teachers to get advanced Kriyas. So that is something really nice, and I really appreciate. I've seen in many videos that Sri M is pretty upfront about Kriya, that it's not the final solution. One has to practice and all that. So these are just the high level, and I put the links up there in the description so that you can also go and see, and I've also put the timestamp. So taking a step back, I'll just tell you a case story. So this is about a friend of mine who I went to middle school, junior high school with. And when he was in, let's say, 10th grade or something, he started practicing this Kriya. And I think a bunch of my other classmates were inspired by this book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And when he went to 11th and 12th grade, he got some practices mailed. In those days, I think even now, Yoga Satsang Society, they mail out these practices. And he started doing those practices. And of course, it really helped him a lot. He developed this tremendous sense of vairagya. And as a result of that, I think two things happened. One, he was a very smart kid to start with, and then it helped him a lot. And in his medical, for doctor in India, they have to go through a common exam. And in that exam, he was All India rank 23. That means he had to be a genius, right? So even he agrees and talks about how those meditation practices helped him with his focus. And second was, he developed this tremendous sense of vairagya. His parents were really worried that he's not going to get married, he's going to become monk or something. So that went on, and he did really well academically. He went on to do his higher studies at Oxford in Britain, and then he moved to US. And once he moved to US, then he started doing a job, professional doctor. And slowly, he went through exactly what that Indian actor is talking about. Anushasana, lack of discipline, lack of commitment, not enough time. These are the problems that I have seen in his life, because I've talked to him regularly over many years. And what happened as a result of that, he developed this Crohn's disease. It's an intestinal disease. And people in modern medical, material-based health sciences, they don't understand many things. You will be surprised like how many diseases, health problems are bundled as autoimmune disease, as if the immune system of our body is attacking itself. That's the most bogus idea. The creator of this life is not that stupid that it will create an immune system to attack itself. So when they do not understand anything, any disease, they lump it together as an autoimmune disease. And you will be surprised that about 80 million people, about 30% of US population is going through some kind of autoimmune disease. But that was just a number. So going back to that story of my friend, he went through this terrible problem. It's a lifelong problem. So now he has to, take the infusion of this very expensive medicine, every month or every few weeks. And economically he's doing quite well, so he doesn't have a problem. But see, that's the outcome. Then if you go through many of the videos about this Kriya Yoga on YouTube, let's say, you will see very frequently in the comment that people are talking about their depression. And they'll say, oh, I did this practice, I had this experience, now I'm going through, or I have gone through many years, 4 or 5 years of this dark night of the soul. And there's no one to help them. There's no one to help them. And the problem is with the teaching. Problem is with the teaching. So that's why I'm talking about this. And this is a real problem. So let's go back to the basics. So what is Kriya Yoga? And what are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to achieve? So what is Kriya Yoga is and there are all kind of kriyas, right? If you look at Indian spiritual scene, pretty much every organized institution is teaching some kind of kriya. It's of course you have YRF here in the US and Yoga Satsang Society. You have Sriam's Satsang Foundation. Then you have Isha Foundation is also some kind of Isha Kriya. You have Sudarshan Kriya, and then you have Om Shanti Kriya. I'm just making fun, but pretty much everyone is trying some kind of kriya. Basically, it's some kind of meditative combination of yoga, pranayam, and some other mudras, all those things. But the basic idea is somehow to raise one's mind. When someone is not feeling well, and when they are mentally and also physically, when they go through those practices, they start to feel a little better. And then what happens? They don't have the real sanskar, real mindset to keep practicing. So they end up in the end just quitting and hurting themselves. So that's how it works out. But let's go through the basics. The basics is, see, in our subtle body, those 6 centers, and so there is a big barrier between the Manipur and Anahat, between the third and the fourth. So the holy grail of spiritual life or spiritual progress is crossing that barrier, going from Manipur to Anahat. And so you'll see all these teachers of Kriya Yoga, what they teach is, at least their claim is, this is going to really accelerate your evolution as a human being or as a Jeeva. It will magnetize your spine. You look at that video, of that YRF teacher. It's going to magnetize your spine. Why not electrify your spine? And why not electromagnify your spine? And why not? Where is the gravity? These are all bogus old ideas of 19th century. Like when Yoganand came, and we really have to move forward. See, Yoganand, Dayanand, Vivekanand, Prabhupada, all these institutions that we see around, they are all 19th century. We have moved so far. We have gone 200 years. And at that time, magnetism was a big thing. It's like AI of today. So they have to sell something. They have to say, it's going to magnetize your spine. That's how it's going to make you feel better. It's going to enhance the rate of your evolution. It will give you some kind of cosmic consciousness. These are all bogus ideas. They're all bogus ideas. We have to fight off these bogus ideas with the right idea, with the correct idea. So that's why I'm talking about this. So what happens is, our existence for almost all of the Jivas here in this sloka right now, we exist within those 3 centers, 3 bottom centers: Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, and Manipur. And what happens is, you will see, so the holy grail is to cross that barrier, to go to the Anahat, to go to the 4th center. What happens is, once we go from 3rd to 4th, there's a tremendous difference in our being, our spiritual being. If we are on the path of jnana, the path of knowledge, and if we have, we have gone through a bunch of teachings, we realize that, Sri Ramakrishna also says that when we go to Anath, Chaitanya, that consciousness is born. Like, people recognize, the our mind expands so much that people get this feeling that I'm not the body, I'm truly a consciousness. That's called Brahmakar Vritti. That's not enlightenment. That is just expanded mind. That's what happens on path of knowledge. If we are on path of devotion, trying to meditate on a form of God, then the way our plumbing of our subtle body is that at the fourth center, we start to have very nice and vivid image of the object we are meditating on. People also feel that rush of light when they cross, when the mind crosses from third to fourth, there is a rush of light. Not in every case, if there is very little, that barrier is not the same, right? A window could be made of glass or it could be made of, wood. So if the glass window is there, that means if the partition is very thin, you don't really notice a lot of light change, right? So similarly, everyone does not go through that massive rush of light, but there is definitely different level of awareness. If someone is on the form of yoga, right, of meditation, what happens is beyond fourth center, if people continue, the mother becomes very active, and mother tries to make her own way from the fourth center to Sahasrara. So what happens is, it's called in the language of yoga, it's called Kriyavati. That means mother becomes active on her own. That's the holy grail of that path. That beyond that, one doesn't have to do anything. One has to trust and trust mother, just have faith, and mother will, and make sure that one doesn't create barrier for mother through one's own behavior. So from there on, mother makes her own way. So the process of Kriya is somehow cross from third to fourth. And from there, it's a reverse engineering. It's nothing but reverse engineering. So let's say if someone is going through the process where mother is making her own way, so it's really hard to explain. But there are processes like tapping, breathing, different postures. These are the activities that happen in one's body automatically if mother is active. So what these Kriya Yoga traditions have done, they have reverse engineered. So what they have done is, let's say if someone is going through that process, they have witnessed it, they have taken note of it, and then they are giving those steps to people where mother is not active, or where there is not enough, where traffic is not clear. So it's just a reverse engineering. There is no way around it. So what happens is, let's say someone made a progress, someone went from third center to fourth center, and maybe a little bit more, it's very difficult to go beyond fourth if one is not very pure in one's conduct and not very disciplined. What happens is, and most of the people who start doing this Kriya, they don't have that mindset that my purpose in life is to realize God or to get enlightenment or just to be a good person, very pure person inside, outside. That's not. Most of the time people are trying to solve a problem. I had a breakup, I had this problem, so I need a good balanced mind, so let me start doing Kriya. So they do it, they make a little bit of progress, and then they stop. And then what happens is, mind falls down, mind falls back below, maybe third center, even below. And at that time, they don't know what to do. And because they have not changed their lifestyle, they have not made the right priorities in life, they have not purified their internal, external body, their habits, it's very difficult for them to get out of that mindset. So they stay in that depressive, bad state for many, many years. And the second problem is, so that's the reason for depression. There is no way around it. And the second problem is disease. So what happens is, so let's say someone like my friend who practiced this quite seriously for quite a long time, and then if someone stops, let's say changing lifestyle, change in job situation, some events in life, So what happens is, once mother is used to higher centers in the body, and person has stopped doing the practice, that means person has become less supportive. Less supportive means not purifying or not keeping the pure habits, or just very sattvic lifestyle. What happens is, those channels and those centers, they get covered by impurities, and then mother is trying to fight her way up, and it's very difficult, and that leads to, that manifests into all kind of disease, and people say it's an autoimmune disease, but it's not. It's literally mother is trying to find her way to upper centers where she has become used to. So you will see a lot of people end up with some kind of disease, which is very hard to reverse. It becomes more like a chronic lifestyle disease. So these are the two big problems, in Kriya Yoga. Two big problems. People need to be warned up front. See, the way it works is, in that instruction that person is giving, what he's saying is, you tense your body, and then you breathe in and you breathe out through your mouth, like in 2 steps. So it all goes back to the Vedas. So if you remember, sarvam khalvidam brahman. See, that's thanks to the bogus Mandukya Vedanta. That's not the end. It has other half too. So if the full sentence is sarvam khalvidam brahman Tajjalān iti shānt upāsita. That means Tajjalān, the one that is absorbed, that resides and breathes in that Brahman. So that is Adya Shakti, that is mother. So when we are breathing, we are not breathing, it's the mother who breathes. So when they are playing with, most of the Kriya Yoga techniques, they play with breathing. So what they are doing is, they are literally playing with breathing to move mother from lower centers to upper center. That's why it's so dangerous. So in this technique that you are saying, which is open, they open it to the public because it's no big deal. What they're trying to do is, they're trying to tense our body, and then they're trying to breathe out through mouth. So that way they're trying to move mother to Manipur center, to the 3rd center. So here is a little secret. See, if people know what Sri Ramakrishna has done in the gospel, he has given the entire secret. There is not a single word which is extra in the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And it also tells us the greatness of the author, the Mahendranath Gupta. What a big, great yogi he was to include all of these. So in a boat trip, Sri Ramakrishna talks about his body being just a pillow cover. And he's not just casually using that. Pillow cover means our body, our subtle body, has a real physical presence inside this body, which is like a thin layer, like a pillow cover. So in that instruction, in that Kriya Yoga instruction, when that person is trying to create this tremendous tension in the body and then release the breath, taking deep breath and releasing the breath through mouth, what he's doing is kind of loosening the knot. It's creating the tension, loosening the knot, and then breathing out through mouth to move mother to the Manipur center. And that's what they kind of make it open to public. But that's no big deal. That's something that we should all aspire to, and we don't need to do those practices to act from, to live our life, on the Manipur center. A lot of successful people live on the life. They live their life at Manipur center, at the 3rd center. All one has to do is control one's mind, control one's desire. Just be a bit sattvic. See, many CEOs, if you look at I don't know, Google CEO, Microsoft CEO, a lot of these successful people that you see, they all operate, they live their daily life from the Manipur center. That we should aspire for, and that is not by doing some special practice. That is just by our lifestyle, and that's our Vedic tradition. Our Vedic tradition is to live our entire life not from Manipur, but from a very high, maybe fifth center, beyond Anahat center. That's our true heritage. That should be our bar. But probably going through Kali Yuga, we have fallen quite low. But the point is, people like these Kriya Yoga teachers, they should not give those techniques, that reverse engineering, to people who they know is not suitable, who don't have the right mindset, right sanskar, right appreciation, right priorities in life. Because in the end, it's going to hurt those people. And they all get hurt. I mean, here is a little bit of good news. Like most people who start the Kriya or take Kriya initiation, whatever, they don't practice anyway. So it saves them. It saves them. But but some people do get hurt. So, I mean, I think it will be great. It will be great if these Kriya teachers be honest upfront about these things. Because this is not a technique that should be given out to the masses. I mean, I do appreciate that Sri M is pretty open about it, pretty honest about it, and says that it's not the end. There are many other ways people can make tremendous spiritual progress. But I think we need more information on that, because some people are really getting hurt. I mean, these techniques are not for masses. These techniques are for the yogis who want to live a life which is where the goal is to become a yogi. Goal is to become enlightened and then just leave the body or live an enlightened life like a yogi. Not someone who has to go and work in the hospital for 14 hours a day, or who is an actor, or who is making 3 videos a week, who is running a big YouTube channel. I mean, these things, and that's why I sometimes feel very disappointed by these teachers like Yogananda and even Vivekananda, or Dayananda or Prabhupada. They have made a big mess of our Vedic tradition by giving all this khichdi of information, which and somehow what they have done is they have demeaned our traditional Vedic lifestyle, and they have done some kind of mental concoction, and they have presented something as some novel, some new idea, and which is just useless for most of the people. And if it was useless, that would be good enough. But it's hurting people. That's the real problem. So how to counter that? By giving the right information. And that's why we got a lot of work to do. And I tell you something. It's good to look at the numbers. Like numbers in every aspect of our life. Because numbers do tell us a story. And it tells us what helps people, what people want. And I tell you, what people truly want these days is they want to hear about perfect people from the mouth of, in the voice of people who are very pure, whose heart are very pure. I'll give you 2 examples, right? Sri M, he's a Kriya Yoga teacher, right? But he also talks about Vedanta and devotion and other things. He sings very nicely too. So in last 6 months, if you look at all his videos, the most view that he has got on his videos is when he talks about Sri Ramakrishna. Similarly, you look at Swami Sarpriyananda's videos. They are all very popular, famous speakers on YouTube. And if you look at his last 6 months of videos, his lecture on Sri Ramakrishna has more than 2 times the number of views than any other videos. You know why? Because both these teachers, they are very highly elevated spiritually. They talk from 4th, 5th, maybe higher centers. And what they are talking about, when they are talking about Sri Ramakrishna, they are talking about that Krishna, that Rama, that Narayana. And so you have a very pure, elevated soul talking about something which is extremely pure in divinity, which is divine. So when that falls in the ears of average person, it is more effective than any kriya, because it elevates, it purifies the mind of that person, that listener from inside. It has a cleansing effect, and that naturally lifts the mind and also the mother of the listener. And that's why it's so effective, and that's reflected in the numbers. Numbers do not lie. That's why I'm saying, we have moved into a new era. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when one currency from one era doesn't work in the other currency. And I like to use the term, I don't know if you guys have heard, it's like in the movie they say, in one of the old Hollywood movie, we are not in Kansas anymore. Even in Avatar 1 movie they use this line, we are not in Kansas anymore. That means we have gone to a new territory. Kansas, like Indian state Kansas, US state Kansas. I like to say Gaurpad, Gaurpad, that bogus Mandukya Vedanta fame. I like to say, Gaurpad, we are not in Kansas anymore. So anyhow, my point is, we as, we humans as humanity, we are not in the 19th century. We are in 21st century. We have different need. We are different kind of humans. In 1900, the average life expectancy in India was less than 25 years. In 1900, average life expectancy in the US was less than 40 years. Right now, there are 80,000 Americans who are 100 years and more in age living. We are in a different world. So that's why I think spiritual teachers, the people who have committed their life to help people spiritually, they should really think about all this. What is really helping people? What people are really hungry for? What is truly going to help people? The most importantly, what is not going to hurt people? Those are the things people have to think about. Other than some kind of dogma, some bogus philosophy. That's the true impact. That's the true help. We can, or people who are spiritually very advanced can do to rest of the society. So anyhow, I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and this is a really, really serious thing, that we should not hurt people. If we can't help them, we should not hurt people. And these events, of depression and disease are way too common, as a result of the practice of this advanced Kriya Yoga, which is nothing but reverse engineering of practices that is done by really committed, very advanced yogis. That's not suitable for normal people living in the world. Anyhow, so I'll stop right here. We'll talk more. Because we are on the topic of yoga, why not I chant this Karpur Gaudam, because we are in the mood of Shiva a little bit. Alright. Karpur Gaudam Karunavataram Sansar Saram Bhujgendra Sada Vasantam Hridayarvinde Bhavam Bhavani Saitam Namami. Alright, so I hope you are all doing well. We'll talk again. Take care. Okay, bye then. Let's see, I close it.